You're listening to the Birth Advocacy Podcast. I'm Kira Walsh, and I'm passionate about two things: supporting birth and helping doulas break free from burnout. If you're juggling on-call life, feeling underpaid, and wondering if this work can truly be sustainable, you're in the right place. We'll talk about raising your rates, setting boundaries that stick, and building a business that leaves you feeling energized, not exhausted. Let's jump in. Hey, welcome back to the Birth Advocacy Podcast. So, I have a question for you. Have you ever caught yourself saying yes when you really wanted to say no? Like, let's say a client asks for an extra postpartum visit that you didn't plan for, or somebody texts you at like 11 p.m. needing like just a quick chat, right? Or maybe a potential client on an inquiry call asks for a discount before they even ask for your services. And instead of feeling confident and standing your ground, you just caved, right? So if you've ever felt exhausted, overwhelmed, or like your business is running you instead of the other way around, this episode is for you because today we're talking about how to stop saying yes to literally everything, how to set boundaries that actually serve you, and how to protect your energy so you can quit burning out, okay? So saying no isn't selfish. And I know that as doulas, it is so hard to really wrap our brains around that. But truly, saying no isn't selfish. It's also not unprofessional. It is literally how you survive in the world of birth work, right? Like we preach this to moms all the time. We tell them, you need to say no, you need to set boundaries. But then when we hold the mirror up to ourselves, we're not following our own advice. So if you're constantly feeling like you're running on empty, you're maybe struggling to put limits on your time, or maybe you're feeling guilty when you turn people away, I want you to grab your notebook or, as always, just listen while you're driving, doing the dishes, whatever. We're going to dive into why saying no is one of the most powerful ways to take care of yourself, how to also create more space for clients who actually respect your boundaries, and then also the keys that are going to help you shift how to stop overworking and really start running your business on your terms. So let's get into it. All right. So let's start by, I'm going to take you back to a moment in my doula career that literally wrecked me. So a few years ago, I was deep in burnout, like deep in burnout. I had taken on way too many clients. I was literally answering messages at all hours of the day and night. I did not know how to use Do Not Disturb on my phone. I was skipping meals and skipping bedtime with my daughter to squeeze in literally every last minute postpartum visit. If a mom needed it, you name it, I was doing it. And then one night I came home from the birth was like 36 hours and I was completely wrecked. My body hurt, my brain was fried, and I literally could barely keep my eyes open. And I collapsed onto the couch, and I kid you not, as soon as I laid down, my phone buzzed. It was another inquiry. And literally, without even thinking, I opened it and started typing out my availability. And I had this breaking point. I realized I had no boundaries. I was saying yes automatically without ever even asking myself, do I actually have the capacity for this? I was really just running myself into the ground. And the worst part is that my clients weren't even getting the best version of me anymore. And my family definitely was not. And that was the moment that I knew something had to change. I had to learn how to say no. And believe me, if you are a people pleaser and you are just out there trying to make everyone happy, because a lot of times people pleasers fall into this line of birth work, it's really hard. It's really hard to learn how to say no. But I kid you not, once I did, everything shifted. I started booking more clients, ones that actually respected my time. I stopped feeling like I was drowning in my doula business. And I really started remembering why I loved birth work in the first place. So now I want to help you do the same thing. But let's really just call out the elephant in the room. Why is saying no so hard? Right? So for most of us, it's guilt. We don't want to disappoint people. Like I said, we are oftentimes people pleasers. We think saying no makes us a bad doula, right? Or maybe it's fear. So, fear that if we turn down a client, the inquiries will just magically stop coming in. Fear that if we set boundaries, people are going to think we're rude or unprofessional. But here's the truth, saying yes to everything isn't just exhausting, it's actually keeping you from serving the clients who actually align with you. And when you learn how to say no with confidence, you're not just protecting yourself, but you're actually making space for opportunities that really, really light you up. So, I want to talk about how to do that, and I'm going to give you three strategies that really helped me go from saying yes to everything to only saying yes to the things that actually serve me. So I said this already, but first things first, really, I want you to get like really solidified in your mind that saying no is not selfish. It's actually a form of self care. So I know that sounds like something you literally see on Instagram, like on a cute little graphic, but hear me out, because every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could actually restore you. And when you're constantly running on empty, you're not showing up as the doula that your clients deserve. And instead of thinking of saying no as letting someone down, I really want you to reframe it and think of it as protecting your ability to say yes to the things that truly matter to you. You're not being mean, you're not being unprofessional. You are creating a boundary that lets you do your best work without burning out. And honestly, the clients who respect you will get it. And I've said this before, the ones who don't, they were never your people to begin with. Now, let's talk about what happens when you actually do start saying no. Because here's the thing, when you turn down clients, opportunities, or requests that just don't align with you, again, you're not just protecting your energy, you're making space for the right things and the right people to come in. So think about it like this, if your calendar is packed with clients who aren't respecting your boundaries, aren't respecting your time, how are you supposed to have room for the ones who truly align with you and value you? How are you going to have time for them? You're not. So you have to really start being intentional about your yeses. So before you agree to something, ask yourself, does this client align with my values? Will this opportunity energize me, or is it going to leave me drained? Am I saying yes because I want to or because I feel like I have to? And I've said this before, if the answer isn't a hell yes, it's probably a no. And trust me, when you start making space for the right clients, they will show up. And that brings me to the final piece, which is boundaries. Now, I know, I know boundaries is like the buzzword of the decade, but before you roll your eyes, let me tell you something, that boundaries don't just protect you, they actually make your clients respect you more. So, if a doctor, a lawyer, or a therapist told you that they only answer messages between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., you wouldn't think twice about it. But for some reason, as doulas, we feel like we need to be available 24/7 to be seen as good at our job. So let me say it louder, because if you weren't listening, I want you to really hear this. Clients value you more when you set clear expectations. So set communication hours and stick to them. Really stick to them. Be upfront about what's included in your packages and what isn't. That's honestly even more important. And stop feeling bad for enforcing policies that protect your time. Because when you set strong boundaries, literally everyone wins. Your clients know what to expect, and you get to protect your energy and show up as your best self. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I need to figure this out, but where do you start? I want you to go to that masterclass that I talked about on the last episode. It's called Burnout to Booked Out, and I'm going to walk you through a bunch of things. So I'm going to talk to you about how to attract aligned clients who respect your boundaries. We're going to always, always, always talk about setting rates, reflect your value without the guilt. We're going to talk about the mindset shifts that are going to help you run your business without burnout. And if you're ready to stop overworking and start really running your doula business on your terms, I want you to go and grab your free spot. So it's over at birthadvocacypodcast.com/burnout. And as always, I'm going to leave you with a challenge this week. I want you to say no to one thing, just one. Maybe it's a client who asks for a discount. Maybe it's a client who's expecting a quick call at 10 p.m. Maybe it's a favor that you just really don't have the energy for, whether it's in your business or in your personal life, whatever it is. I want you to practice saying no and see how it feels. And then I want you to DM me on Instagram over at Birth Advocacy Podcast and tell me what you said no to. Tell me what you turned down, because your business should feel good. And you don't have to say yes to literally everything to make it work.